today I'm going to be sharing my Cancun travel guide for 2018. So the first thing I want to discuss really quickly, but it's not going to be a main part of my guide, just to let you know, is where to stay. And the main one I wanted to share, which I've already done a video on, is Paradisus Cancun. I personally think it's the best option if you're looking for an all-inclusive in Cancun and you want a resort that's nice, that you can come back to after you've done excursions or a day at the beach or anything else really in Cancun. It's a great place to have that you can actually relax in and that has the most bang for your buck and value, especially if you update to the Royal Service package. I think it has the best value for what you're paying. Anything else in terms of like non-all-inclusives, I think you should just plug into Google, because honestly, looking for resorts, especially all-inclusive or non-all-inclusive, was incredibly overwhelming. And there's so much to choose from that basically depends on what your budget is, if you're going with your family or friends, or if you're just going as a couple, and whether or not you want to experience all-inclusive or not. All-inclusive is great if you're on a budget or if you don't want to spend a whole lot of money, but you want to be able to do a lot with the money that you have. But if you're a foodie or if you're someone who wants to actually experience the food of Mexico, I don't recommend it. I recommend you stay in an actual hotel and then go out into the hotel zone and actually experience Mexican food for yourself, because all-inclusive food is going to be mainly buffet and it's not going to live up to your expectations, and it's definitely not going to live up to the actual true food of Mexico, which is amazing, and you should definitely experience it if that's something that is a main point of travel for you. The next thing I want to discuss is the things that you can do while you're in Cancun. The main things that we did while we're in Cancun were excursions to like very specific sites and mostly water sports and adventure parks. So I'm just going to share a few of the things that we did and things that I think that you can't miss when you go. Chichen Itza. So Chichen Itza is definitely something I think you can't miss if you go to Cancun, especially if you don't plan on returning anytime in your life. You should definitely see Chichen Itza. They recently registered it as a UNESCO World Heritage Site and also as one of the wonders of the world, and so it has gotten a lot of really good press, but with good reason. It is a really cool place to visit. There are some really amazing things, especially if you're passionate about history or you just want to see how people thousands of years ago lived their lives. The Mayans have such a rich culture, and if you pay for an excursion package, it's an all-day trip, and you basically go to shop in some local Mayan shops, and you can get some really amazing souvenirs like the obsidian. You can get some Mayan calendars, you can get little figurines and learn a lot more about what the Mayans believed. Then you'll get to go to actual Chichen Itza, and Chichen Itza most people associate with the pyramid, but there's actually a lot more buildings and structures that you get to see while you're there. Keep in mind that it's incredibly hot and you should definitely bring sunscreen. I was basically melting out there and I was like applying sunscreen every 20 minutes and I still felt like I got a little bit burnt. But it's definitely worth it. Also, if you purchase a Chichen Itza package, then they usually include a cenote visit, which means that you get to go swim in a natural sinkhole. And if that's something that is on your Cancun bucket list, then I definitely recommend doing it with Chichen Itza. It's a great day trip. And normally they include food as well, so that's just something that adds a little bit more value to your day. The next thing I think is a really cool thing to do, especially if you're into water sports, is to go and snorkel on the coral reef. Basically the way that we did this was with a company called Aqua Tours, and they took us out. You have to drive your own speedboat across the lagoon, which they claim are crocodiles in there, but I don't think it's true, but maybe. But basically you take a speedboat across the lagoon and then you arrive at the reef once you've gone through this very beautiful scenic lagoon, and then you just kind of dock your boat and the guide helps you get out. Everybody has to be wearing life vests, you get snorkel gear included, and then you just swim around the reef. You have to be very careful not to touch the reef, but you'll see a lot of really amazing fish and wildlife, and also some amazing art sculptures that artists have actually installed on below next to the reef, which is really cool. If you enjoy snorkeling and swimming around and seeing lots of natural ecosystems within the ocean, it's really amazing. The next thing that I think you should do is check out one of the adventure or water parks. There are several to choose from, but the main two are Explore and Xcaret or Ishcaret. I'm not sure how they pronounce that, but Ishcaret is basically one that we didn't do, but I learned an awful lot about it. You basically go to this park and it has like rivers and nature walks and all kinds of different things that you can do, as well as experience Mayan culture and traditional folklore dances of the Mayan people. So it's a lot more enriched in history and culture than the other water parks. It's more of like a cultural experience. And the one that we did do was Explore, and Explore is a natural water park that they basically built around the tropical forest and also the stalactite caves. So we were able to swim through on rafts through these like stalactite caves, and also swim just generally with life vests on. And we were able to drive amphibian cars and zip line above the tropical forest, which was terrifying for me because I am scared of heights, but it was still really, really cool. You'll also get to swim and just generally hang out, and there is a buffet included in that excursion. It is an all-day thing. You will not be back to your hotel until 6. And they'll pick you up and take you, same as Chichen Itza. So it's very, very awesome. Everything's pretty much included, but it's definitely really, really cool to experience the nature that Cancun, the Yucatan Peninsula, and Riviera Maya have to offer. The next things I think you should do are something to do with the beach. So if you don't go snorkeling, you should definitely take a day out in your trip and just hang out at the beach. It's really beautiful. Our friends actually went parasailing, which looked amazing, but I'm too scared of heights to be that high. But if you're into that kind of thing, then definitely do it. They said it was so beautiful and it gave them a huge view of the entire area of the hotel zone and the Cancun shoreline, which is really cool. But if you don't want to do that, then you can just go swim in the beach. The beach water feels like bath water. It's so warm, it's so blue. It's not super clear like the Bahamas, but it is so just like relaxing to be in, and most of the time the waves are very relaxed and like chill. It was only on the last day of our trip that actually there was a storm coming in and the waves were very rough and like nobody was able to swim in it. But you can still go walk along the shoreline and put your feet in and everything, and it's one of those soft sand beaches, so it's not like California where we have a lot of rocks. It's very, very peaceful and relaxing and beautiful, and it's a great place to go and take pictures as well. The last thing I want to mention is that if you do want to experience Mexican food, like real Mexican food, and you're not going to pay for all-inclusive, or maybe you are but you still want to go out, is I recommend that you stay within the hotel zone because it is heavily patrolled by private security, so it's a lot safer than main Cancun. I don't recommend you leave, especially if you're a tourist. But you should go out and experience the restaurants within the hotel zone and experience real Mexican food. It's awesome. There's so much to choose from, and Cancun has its own breed of unique food as well, so it's definitely worth experiencing at least once. The last few things I want to discuss are travel etiquette and safety while traveling in Cancun. Even though the hotel zone in Cancun is considered very safe and heavily patrolled by private security and private police, I definitely think that you should stay within the hotel zone. Cancun as a city is still incredibly dangerous. The cartel are like all over the place. People get kidnapped, they get mugged, and they get robbed all the time. So just be aware and have common sense. When you're leaving the airport, you're gonna be bombarded by salespeople trying to offer you rental cars and taxis and timeshares, and it's very hard to see what's credible and what's not. So if you want to avoid that, then you can just walk straight through where they're at and plan your shuttle ahead of time before you even get in Cancun. We actually scheduled ours through USA Transfers, which was the easiest thing for me, and it was about $50 for 2 people shuttle there and back. So pick up from the hotel and also pick up from the airport. So it was just very easy, took all the guesswork out of it. And you just have to take your voucher and they'll go ahead and tell you exactly how to find them and everything. It was super easy. And then that way you don't have to worry about getting out of the airport at Cancun and wondering, oh, which one of these people is actually legit. Because there are a lot of horror stories about trying to get a taxi and someone telling you they're working for a specific place that they are a taxi and they end up not being. So if you want to avoid that kind of like stress, then definitely plan ahead. And the other thing too is that you want to be aware that the final price is not the final price. You want to bargain when you go to any kind of open market or any kind of shop in Mexico, unless you're in like a designated hotel in which case I don't know if they do bargaining as much, but definitely in the open air markets and all of the shops outside in the hotel zone, you can bargain and lower the prices. And it's much more likely that you'll get a better price if you actually speak the language. So if you can learn some Spanish phrases and actually try to communicate with the locals, then they'll be a lot more friendly, welcoming and helpful, and they'll also be more willing to give you a better deal. Even taxis will give you a better deal, maybe even a discount if you actually try to speak with them. The final thing I wanted to mention was etiquette. In Cancun, basically everyone that lives there is either working for the excursions or the hotel resorts, and so they rely very heavily on tourism, and they rely very heavily on tips. So if you have a good experience with someone, if someone goes above and beyond to help you, then please tip them. If it's not within your budget to tip every person that you pass, which will be very socially pressured on you to tip basically every person that breathes near you, that works at the hotels or during excursions, then just tip the people who do a really good job, because they need that tip to live in Cancun and to make a living for their families. And also you want to keep the service level really high, and so that way they can keep giving people great experiences, but also have a living for their own families and make their own lives better. So that is a great way to pay it forward, spread goodwill, and also get really great service in return. So that is it for my guide to Cancun for 2018. I wanted to keep this really simple just because I think that there's so much to do in Cancun, there's so much to do in the surrounding areas, but you may not have all the time in the world. First of all, we stayed for a week and I still felt like there was a lot we didn't do. But I also think that there is a lot of hype surrounding Cancun and what you should do, and I'm sure that you'll have a good time even if you just went to an all-inclusive and stayed at the beach and maybe went out once to experience real Mexican food or to go shop at the local places. So I definitely think that you should at the very least go to Chichen Itza and Cenote, because it's a really unique experience, and it's also a great way to see wildlife and the beautiful surrounding areas in Cancun. But if there's nothing else that you can do, then keep it really simple and just do the things that are fun, that are worth your money. So that way you can actually feel like you enjoyed your trip, but you didn't go over your budget. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Hey!